In a move that's already shaking global markets and reigniting a long-running political fight over the U.S. central bank, President Donald Trump has nominated Kevin Warsh to become the next chair of the Federal Reserve. Gold is sliding, crypto is crashing, and investors are asking one big question: is Kevin Warsh the Fed chair Trump can finally control? So, who exactly is Kevin Warsh, and why does his name matter so much right now? Worsh is no outsider. He's a former Wall Street banker, a Harvard-trained lawyer, and one of the youngest Federal Reserve governors in history, appointed at just 35 years old. Born in Albany, New York, with no major political connections, Worsh built his career the old-fashioned way: Stanford for public policy, Harvard Law for economics and regulation, then straight into Morgan Stanley, working high-stakes mergers and acquisitions during the late 1990s boom. His real rise came inside government. Under President George W. Bush, Worsh served as a top economic advisor at the White House before joining the Federal Reserve Board in 2006. And then everything broke. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, Worsh became a key bridge between the Fed and Wall Street, helping manage the collapse of major banks and the most severe economic shock since the Great Depression. That experience still defines him today. Fast forward to now. On January 30th, 2026, Trump announced Worsh as his pick to replace Jerome Powell, whose term ends in May.
Did Kevin Warsh commit to you that he will push to cut interest rates if he is confirmed?
No, but we talk about it, and I've been following him, and I don't want to ask him that question. I think it's inappropriate, probably. It probably would be allowed, but I want to keep it nice and pure. But he certainly wants to cut rates. I've been watching him for a long time.
But here's the catch. Worsh is not yet Fed chair. He still needs Senate confirmation, and that process could get messy, especially with an ongoing Justice Department investigation surrounding Powell and rising political tensions over Fed independence. Still, with Republicans holding the Senate, confirmation is widely expected. Markets didn't wait. Almost immediately after the nomination, gold dropped more than 10%, silver plunged even harder, cryptocurrencies sold off sharply, and the US dollar surged. Investors are pricing in a major shift in how the Federal Reserve might operate. To understand why, you have to understand Trump's feud with Jerome Powell. Despite appointing him in 2018, Trump spent years attacking Powell publicly, calling him too late, a major loser, and accusing the Fed of sabotaging economic growth by keeping interest rates too high. Trump wanted deep, aggressive rate cuts, even outside of recessions. Powell refused repeatedly, and he defended the Fed's independence, saying decisions must be based on data, not politics. So where does Kevin Warsh fit into this? Trump reportedly regrets not choosing Worsh in 2017, and recently, Worsh's tone has changed. He's criticized the Fed's reliance on economic models, called for what he describes as regime change at the central bank, supported faster rate cuts, and downplayed inflation risks tied to tariffs. That's raised eyebrows. Because, historically, Worsh was known as an inflation hawk, someone who favored tighter policy and once warned the Fed against moving too fast. Some analysts now call him a chameleon. Others say he's a serious institutional figure who knows when to bend and when not to break. If confirmed, Worsh steps into one of the hardest jobs in the world. He'll need to prove the Fed isn't becoming political, navigate a divided Federal Open Market Committee, balance inflation risks, slowing growth, tariff pressures, and global instability. And every move he makes will be watched by markets, by Congress, and by the White House. So the real question isn't just whether Kevin Warsh becomes Fed chair. It's whether he becomes Trump's Fed chair or the Federal Reserve's credibility.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.